guys, Kyle Hancock here, Texas Rollers Baseball. Hope everyone is doing well. We're here with you for another week. I know lately we've been going over some hitting drills that Danny's presented to you guys. We've done some pitching stuff as well. This week we're actually going to stay in the box, but instead of covering drills that are relative to hitting, we're actually going to go over some bunting techniques. What we believe is key to have a successful bunter. We believe it's a big part of the game. We got to manufacture runs over the course of the season. There's times we got to move those runners over and make something happen. So we want to cover some things to go over all things bunting. First and foremost, more often than not, hitters technically sometimes want to get to the back of the box when they get in the box to ultimately see the ball as long as they can, let that ball travel, especially if they have a pitcher that has additional velocity. Again, this is our box. We want to see it as long as we can. However, when we're talking about bunting, we're talking about getting a sack bunt down to move the runner over. First thing we want to think about is making sure that we're moving our feet and moving our feet late. When we move our feet late, we want to move up in the front of the box as much as we possibly can. Obviously, we want to stay within the box, but as that pitcher is going through his delivery and about to wind up to deliver the pitch, we want to slightly slide forward and then ultimately get into our stance. The reason why we want to get to the front of the box is to ensure that our barrel is now in fair play when we bunt the ball, as opposed to bunting the ball behind the plate. We want to activate and make sure that we can have as much of fair play in play when we're getting this ball on the ground to ultimately have a successful bunt. As we get into our stance and our setup to obviously be successful in bunting, we go from the ground up. As we talk about our feet, we ultimately want to bunt with our knees. We don't want to bunt with our hands, with anything else, our arms, etc. We ultimately want to bunt with our knees. So we want to get an athletic position, slight bend in our knees. We want to make sure that this backside is turned in full rotation. We ultimately do not want to stand with our chest to the pitcher. We just basically want to rotate this backside, get into our knees, and as I get into my setup, I want to put the barrel at the top of the strike zone. The reason why I want to do that is anything above my barrel is ultimately a ball. We pull the bat back, we take the pitch, we go on to the next one. Again, this is a sacrifice situation. So, and again, anything above my barrel, I pull that back, it's a ball, we move on to the next pitch. When we talk about where our hands are set up, we're going to give you guys different angles so you can see this a little better. But ultimately, I want to control the barrel. I want to deaden this baseball. I don't want, maximum bounce off of the barrel to ultimately project that baseball out into the field of play to ultimately get us into a double play situation. We're either out of the inning, whatever the situation may be. But that's the last thing we want to happen. So ultimately, I want to have control of the barrel. I typically want to slide my left hand down just a little bit, pinch the lower half of the barrel, and ultimately, again, I want to deaden this pitch. Deaden this pitch into the barrel, deaden this pitch into the barrel to, again, keep this thing just outside the dirt, right off the infield grass, to make this catcher make an active play, an athletic play, or really make that pitcher cover some ground to make sure that we're getting that runner over into scoring position. Another key point in our setup, and as we get into our stance, we talk about setting our angle, and when do we want to set our angle? We want to set our angle early. The reason we want to do that is we talk about deadening the baseball. Last thing we want to do is come into this set location square and then have to try to guide that baseball down the third baseline or guide that baseball down the first baseline. As we get to a setup, and let's say our third base coach gives us the bunt sign and he wants us to put it down the third baseline. As we get into our setup, as you can tell here and as you can see the angle of the barrel and the handle in my hand, my angle is already set up and predetermined to allow this pitch to go down the third baseline. If I have the call from my third base coach and I want to send this ball down the first baseline, maybe there's a left-hander on the mound and it's either a sack or we're trying to bump for a base hit. Again, top of the zone, I'm in my legs. Now I'm going to preset that angle before the pitch is thrown here. So you can see, again, my barrel is somewhat towards my chest, handle is more out in front, and again, angle is preset to allow that ball to go to the right side of the diamond. So again, as we go into a live demonstration here, we're going to talk about, again, getting in our setup. We're going to be more towards the front half of the box. Backside's rotated. We're into our knees. We're going to go ahead and get this barrel at the top of the zone. And again, I never want the bunts going back to our pitcher, right? So I'm going to go ahead and preset my angle for a live demo down the third baseline. Air ball. I'm going to get my angle set up, preset to the first baseline. Again, as you notice right there, ball was towards the bottom half of the zone. I didn't react and bring my barrel to that pitch. I ultimately bunted that ball with my legs. So again, third baseline, preset. First baseline, preset. Okay, guys, so to recap bunting, ultimately what we want to do first and foremost is we want to activate and we want to move late with our feet. So as the pitcher is in his windup or in the stretch, as he is in his delivery ultimately to deliver that pitch, I want to activate late. I want to get to the front of the box. I want to initially get my backside rotated into my legs. I want to set this bat at the top half of the zone. I want to preset my angle relative to which baseline I want this ball going down. And again, all movement and getting to the baseball is going to be controlled by my legs, not with my hands. So again, as we look to go to third base, from live here, we'll go third baseline, preset the angle in my legs, first baseline.
Hey guys, Danny Hamlin, Texas Oilers Baseball. We appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of drills and things that we're explaining as far as hitting, pitching. Today, Kyle covered bunting. As far as bunting, I know it's not the most elegant thing in our game. Everybody wants to swing and hit the ball out of the park. But as you get older and you get into high school and collegiate and on into minor league baseball, these things are demanded, and they're things that the coaches know that you already know about. So as a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old, that's something that we need to start working on and something that we need to be good at when we're called upon. It's something that you're going to do maybe 4 or 5 times in a year, but it's something that when you're called upon, you need to do it. As far as collegiate and things like that, if you get a chance and your time and your schedule allows, go out and see a high school game. Go out and see a collegiate game. There's multiple junior colleges, D1 universities in our area that we can go and see on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, kind of see what it takes to get there, what these guys go through on a regular basis, how they play the game the right way, how they sprint on and off the field, how they sprint down the line. Those are things that these scouts, as you get into the next level of recruiting, are going to start looking for. Again, we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you can, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all of our social medias. Thank you.